The inclined plane is a simple machine with no moving parts. It is simply an even sloping surface. It makes it easier for us to move objects to higher or lower surfaces than if we lifted the objects directly upwards. Also, it is believed that ancient Egyptians used inclined planes to carry heavy stones to build pyramids.
Hey, what's up? Now we're going to talk about a law that is applied to the inclined plane. What is this law? You will ask. The second law of motion from Newton. Yeah, that's the law that is applied to the inclined plane. So, what's Newton's second law? You will think. You should know it by now, but Newton's second law of motion pertains to the behavior of all objects which existing forces are not balanced. Okay, this second law states that the acceleration of an object depends on two variables, the mass of the object and the force applied to the object. This law states that the greater the force applied to the object is, the greater the acceleration would be. And the greater the mass of the object is, the lower the acceleration of this object will be.
Okay, so today we're going to be explaining the formula for an inclined plane. Before we do this, we must clarify that an inclined plane is a simple machine that helps you to move an object to a higher distance using less force. So we also need to know what is the necessary force. The necessary force is the force we need to apply for an object to move. So necessary force must be equal or greater to the weight of an object. How do we calculate the weight of an object? Is very simple, is by calculating its mass by the gravity of Earth, that will be mass times 9.8 meters per second. So to a formula of the inclined plane, we can see here the inclined plane, that will be this triangle over here, and we see two ways of getting something up. The first is by using just force without a simple machine, and the other one is by using a simple machine. So what are the parts of this object? There are the length of the arc, that is the point from the beginning of the simple machine to the point where we want to get it, and we also need to know the height of the because that would be the distance that we will be using if we didn't have the simple machine. We also need to know what will be the force over the plane, that will be the force applied to the plane in order to get this object to a certain height or a certain point. And we also need to know the weight of the object. In this, we need to know the weight of the object, and in order to know how much effort do we need to apply in order to get the job done. So we need to use a simple formula that will be to calculate the length, the force needed to get this object to here using a simple machine, and the other formula will be how to get this object to a certain height without using a simple machine. So these formulas are here. Okay, so what it basically means is the input force, the force you did to get this object into the height or the point that you desire using a simple machine, times the length of the arc, the distance that you use to move this object to a certain height. And the other part of the formula is how much weight, what is the weight of the object, and what is the height, how high did you get it, and how heavy it was. So what the formula states is that the force over the plane, the force that you applied here to get it to a certain point, times the length of the arc, the length of the simple machine, is equal to the weight of the object times the height that it used. That will be the formula used to calculate the inclined plane.
My name is Diego, and I'm going to talk you about two examples of inclined planes in our lives. First, I will tell you the slide. The slide is a structure with a smooth sloping surface for a children to slide down. We can find this in playgrounds, parks, and more. But right now that we are in quarantine, we cannot use them. Well, another example of an inclined plane would be a wheelchair ramp. A wheelchair ramp is an inclined plane installed in addition to or instead of stairs. Ramps permit wheelchair users, as well as people pushing strollers, carts, or other wheel objects, to move more easily to a building. A wheelchair ramp can be permanent, semi-permanent, or portable. These wheelchair ramps could be found at stores, supermarkets, schools, and more.
Examples of inclined planes in real life. These simple machines makes our life easier, for example the ladder. It makes easier to get to high places without jump or something. Another example could be the platform crane ramps. It's a machine that can be used to lift and lower heavy things and then transport them.
Finally, we're going to explain you an experiment. To this, we're going to use a saddle and an inclined plane. The measurements of this is 3.8 and the height is 1 meter. Also, we are going to use the mass of this, but we need to convert to weight. So we are going to multiply 9.8 multiplying 7 kilograms. So we have finally the weight, that is 68.6 newtons. Then to know the first plane, we are going to multiply the weight, that is the saddle, then the height, that is 1 meter, and we are going to divide it with the leg. The leg is the measurement of the inclined plane. So the total of this is 18.5 newtons of the first plane that we already said that we need. So with this experiment, we can say that in the real life we need the inclined plane to make easiest some things. That, for example, if I want to move this saddle to the top of this inclined plane, I need that first plane, that leg, that height, to know what is the force that I need. So that is the final of our video. So thank you for your attention.